Hi there. Now we're going to have a look at the multi-matching task. In this type of task, you will listen to several speakers. Maybe it's several speakers, or maybe it's only one speaker talking about several topics. And you will have to choose which option from the ones they give you corresponds to each speaker or topic. Okay, so what's a good thing to do with this part? Try to read the instructions, okay, and the different options you have. And it's very important to read the options very carefully and underline the key words, okay, in each option. This is going to help you later on while you're listening. Remember, there are some extra options that we call distractors. There can be one or there can be two. It's very important to read the instructions carefully in order to know the number of distractors you can expect to find. For example, this is a multi-matching task. Okay, this is an example. As you can see here in the instructions, you will hear different people talking about why they live where they live. So they are going to talk about the reasons why they live there. As you can see, I have underlined the word why. It's important to underline keywords in the instructions. Then you have for questions 23 to 29, choose which opinion A to J corresponds to each speaker. And there are two extra opinions in this case you don't need to use. Okay, the first one, 0, has been done for you as an example. The first one, okay, in each task you always have the 0 item, which is an example for you. As you can see here, I've only chosen one speaker, but in the real task, in the original task, you will have more speakers. Okay, this is only an example for you to have a look at how the task would work. Here we have all the possibilities, and as you can see in blue, I have underlined some keywords that are important for you to pay attention to. This is an example of how to identify and underline keywords. I don't need to live in a city to get what I need. To get what I need would be keywords. Okay, it's not where you live, but who lives there. Who lives there is the important thing. Is the fresh air. Fresh air would be the important thing. Or I live in a place which takes advantage of its proximity to other places. So takes advantage, okay, proximity. All of these would be keywords. So once the recording begins, okay, the first time you hear the recording, it's very important to try to listen for the general idea of what each speaker is talking about or says, okay, and try to listen for keywords, okay, the keywords the speaker used. At this point, when you are listening to the recording the first time, it's good to make some notes next to the speakers and next to the options, okay, in order to help you remember later on. And then remember, you need to try to listen for synonyms, right? Like similar expressions or completely different expressions, okay, expressions with exactly the same meaning but with different words. Don't expect to hear exactly the same words you have on the exam paper. Choose the answer to each question that you think is correct, or try to do the maximum number of options, okay? And then the second time you listen, this is the time when you have to check each of your choices exactly matches what the speaker says, okay? And this is the time, the second time is the best time to try to finish the task, okay? To get the options, okay, that you couldn't get the first time. So in this case, you have the listening task, and I'm going to play the first part of the recording. So we are going to try to identify which is the correct option, in this case from A to J for Susan, who is the example, okay, and Graham, which is the speaker number 1, right? Are you ready?
Susan.
I live in Lenexa, suburb of Kansas City. It's hard to say why people in Kansas City love it here. The weather is usually too hot or too cold. There are no mountains or beaches. But virtually everyone I know who has moved here has stayed. And virtually everyone I know who has moved away has moved back. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about living here that is just right.
Graham. You may be surprised if I call Liverpool a food city. The city benefits from being close to the Cheshire and West Lancashire farmland, so fresh ingredients, which are often local and organic, come from just outside the city. The multi-ethnic population and the old seafaring heritage manifests an adventurous spirit that propelled Liverpool onto the national restaurant scene, really. For a relatively small city, it has great history, culture, and an active, funky, hip and young population. With 2 universities and loads of colleges, for me it's the ideal community.
Great. So what are the correct options? Could you guess in this case what the correct options were in each case? Well, the first one is very easy because this is the example, as I said before. J would be the correct answer. It's difficult to say why this place is popular, and some keywords, some key expression the speaker uses in the recording is it's hard to say, I can't put my finger on it. These are going to be expressions with similar meanings, okay? They mean exactly the same as J, but the speaker is using different words. And then what about Graham? Which is the correct option in this case? Well, the correct option is going to be D. I live in a place which takes advantage. In the recording, you can hear which benefits. Instead of takes advantage, they use the word benefits, okay, which would be a word with similar meaning. And benefits from being close to. Instead of using proximity, they are using from being close to, okay, other places. So this is the type of thing you have to do. You need to try to get similar expressions, okay, that mean exactly the same thing as the option you have in the task. So, okay, now just to remember tips, okay, I'm going to give you some tips just to remember some tips that we need to do, or it would be a good idea to do in this type of task. It's important to read the different options before you listen to the recording. This is going to help you later on. It's going to make the task a lot easier. You're going to listen to the task twice, so don't worry if you cannot get all the options the first time you listen to the recording. Remember, there are extra options which we call distractors, okay, and you don't need to use these options. So pay attention to the number of distractors. It can be 1, there can be 2, okay, so important to read the instructions in this case in order to know. And then don't expect to hear exactly the same words you have on the exam paper. As I said before, try to listen for similar expressions. And at the end of the test, don't forget to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. And I say at the end of the test because this is only one part. So at the end of the 3 parts, you will have 5 minutes to transfer your answers. It's important you use this time to do that, to transfer your answers. Well, thank you very much for listening. I hope these tips have been useful for you to do better in this part, and they help you get an idea of the multi-matching task. Thank you.